Green gowns, green drapes, green walls, and in many hospitals, an entire surgical team dressed in some shade between mint and dark teal. The color has become so closely associated with surgery that we rarely stop to question it, and when we do, the usual explanation is that green looks clean, feels calming, or makes bloodstains less obvious. Those things may be convenient, but they are not the most interesting reason. The real explanation begins with a small weakness in human vision, one that you can demonstrate without going anywhere near an operating room. Stare at a bright red object for 20 or 30 seconds, then move your eyes to a plain white surface. For a brief moment, you may see a faint green version of the object floating in front of you. It is an afterimage, similar to the bright spot that remains after a camera flash, and it appears because the cells and visual pathways responding to red have begun to adapt. When you suddenly look at white, which contains the full range of visible colors, the balance is temporarily distorted, and your brain produces the complementary color, green. In ordinary life, this is little more than an amusing optical illusion. During surgery, however, it can become a genuine distraction. A surgeon may spend hours concentrating on an operating field dominated by closely related shades of red, pink, and brown. If that surgeon repeatedly looks away from the patient and towards a white gown, a white wall, or a white surgical drape, the sudden change can produce glare, visual fatigue, and green afterimages. More importantly, prolonged attention to similar reddish colors may make the visual system temporarily less sensitive to the subtle differences between them. And those differences can matter when someone is trying to distinguish one piece of tissue from another. Green provides the eyes with a very different background. Because it lies opposite red in the red-green system of human color vision, looking at green can give the red-sensitive pathways a momentary break, helping the surgeon remain responsive to variations in the operating field. Any green afterimage is also far less conspicuous against an already green or blue-green surface than it would be against brilliant white. This does not mean that someone carefully calculated the perfect color and immediately ordered every hospital in the world to repaint. The change happened gradually, and it grew out of a period when operating rooms were becoming cleaner, brighter, and more technologically advanced. During the 19th century, surgeons often operated in their ordinary clothes, sometimes protected by an old coat or apron. As germ theory, antiseptic practice, and sterilization transformed medicine, white became the dominant color of hospitals because it represented cleanliness and made contamination easier to notice. White coats, white gowns, white sheets, and white tiled rooms turned the modern hospital into a visible contrast with the darker, dirtier surgery of the past. But the same electric lighting that made operating rooms brighter also made all that white increasingly uncomfortable. Under powerful lamps, white surfaces reflected light directly back towards the surgical team, while blood and tissue created an intense red contrast against the room around them. In 1914, an American surgeon named Harry Sherman addressed the problem at St. Luke's Hospital in San Francisco. Sherman argued that the conventional white operating room was too dazzling and that a green environment would be easier on the eyes. He developed what was described as a spinach green operating room, using green walls, linen, and clothing to provide a complementary background to the red of hemoglobin. The idea did not become universal overnight, and Sherman was not the only person experimenting with color in early 20th century hospitals, but green gradually spread as surgeons and designers searched for ways to reduce glare and improve visibility. By the middle of the century, shades of green had become familiar in operating rooms, surgical drapes, and clothing, creating the visual language of surgery that later films and television programs would make recognizable around the world. Blue became common for much the same reason. It is far enough from red to provide a useful visual contrast. It creates less glare than white, and blue-green shades such as teal can perform much the same function as traditional surgical green. This is why there is no single regulation stating that every surgeon must wear one particular color, and why a modern operating room may contain green drapes, blue gowns, and staff wearing several different shades of scrubs. It is also worth separating color from sterility. A green uniform is not inherently cleaner or safer than a white, blue, or purple one. Surgical clothing is designed to be laundered, controlled, and used in ways that reduce contamination. Its color does not kill bacteria. Hospitals may also assign different colors to departments and roles simply because it makes staff easier to identify. So surgeons do not wear green because it possesses some mysterious healing quality, and operating rooms are not green merely because the color is soothing. Green became part of surgery because the human eye was never designed to stare at a brightly illuminated field of red tissue for hours at a time. The color surrounding the surgeon helps compensate for that limitation. What looks like a simple design tradition is really a practical adjustment to the biology of vision, turning an ordinary optical illusion into one of medicine's most recognizable colors.